Yeah. So we started working on Jenkins and we almost covered Jenkins services, right? We almost covered Jenkins services. Fine. Any questions on Jenkins? Anyone having any issues? Any questions while practicing Jenkins services? Any questions? Anyone? So in the last session, what we discussed? Multi-branching and also Jenkins pipeline, right? So Jenkins pipeline and also multi-branching. What is multi-branching? What is pipeline? Anyone? Jenkins pipeline it is a pipeline as a code, right? It is a pipeline as a code, right? Yeah. So pipeline as a code. What is pipeline as a code? Instead of using freestyle project, we can use the pipeline, right? Yeah. So we have two types of pipelines. What are those? Anyone? Multi-branch pipeline. Pipeline, yeah. The pipeline, we have two types of pipelines, right? Declarative pipeline and also scripted pipeline. Declarative and scripted. Okay. So declarative, what is declarative pipeline, anyone? What is declarative pipeline, anyone? Declarative. Currently, most of the project teams are using declarative pipeline. Yeah, declarative pipeline is a yeah very user friendly, right? And it starts with pipeline. The script starts with pipeline, right? So most of the scripts we can find in the official website only. That we can take and we can customize and we can reuse whenever needed, right? And a scripted pipeline, so which is a very old pipeline. So when Jenkins starts, by the time we used to use the scripted pipeline, scripted pipeline is scripted pipeline starts with node, right? It starts with node. So what is the Jenkins first name? Anyone? Jenkins first name. Anyone? What is the Jenkins first name? Hudson. Yes, Hudson. So Hudson, yes, when Jenkins launch, when Jenkins starts, by the time, yeah, Hudson. So in the Hudson, we used to use the old pipeline, right, which is a scripted pipeline. Scripted pipeline is a bit complicated, right? Yeah. So currently we are using declarative pipeline to pull the code, right? To push the code. If you want to print something, you want to modify something. So we are using a declarative pipeline, right? So declarative pipeline is the advanced one, right? Currently. So most of the project teams, they're using declarative pipeline. So 95% of the project teams are using freestyle. So yeah, 5 to 10% maximum they are using pipeline. Okay. Freestyle is declarative. Freestyle is not declarative, not scripted, right? That is no need to add any scripts. That is freestyle. Okay. Yeah. So next one we discussed about one more important one, which is multi-branching pipeline. Multi-branch pipeline. What is multi-branching? Anyone? Can add the multi-branch lines. Yeah, multiple developers while working on the same requirement. Yeah. So whenever they push the code to respective branch, immediately Jenkins trigger the job and it will pull the code from GitHub to Jenkins and it will deploy into respective target servers, right? Yeah, multiple branches at a time we can deploy, or else multiple times we can deploy at different times, different intervals we can deploy multiple branches, right? So here we required important plugin, which is webhook, right? So without which it will not work. Without webhook, yeah, multi-branching will not work, right? So this is the entry question. right? How can we configure multi-branching? How can we deploy the multiple branches? How can we deploy? So where, how can we configure by using which we can configure and we can deploy the multiple branches. So we can say is a webhook, right? Yeah, webhook is a so without which multi-branching will be clear, right, everyone? So how to configure, how to deploy the multiple branches? How can we trigger respective branches, right? These are all we discussed. Fine. Yeah. So today we will discuss about Maven, Nexus, Sonar. So Maven, we already installed Maven, right? We already installed Maven. We have already configured Maven. Yeah. So Maven is very important tool, very core tool. So Nexus is a simple tool. Sonar also, it is a simple tool, right? So Sonar is completely developed. Currently, Sonar is licensed, right? It is not freeware. That is why theoretically we can understand. Nexus also licensed. Theoretically, we can understand. Nexus, Sonar, and Git, Git. These three are developer tools. Even the Maven also developer tool. In the Maven, we don't do anything. So our role starts from Jenkins. Our role starts from Jenkins. Okay. Yeah. So first of all, what is Maven? Why Maven? Why the project teams are using Maven to convert into artifact? So what is the importance of Maven? Let's try to understand. After that, we'll discuss about Nexus. After that, Sonar. Right. Yeah. So Nexus and also JFrog, both are same. Nexus, JFrog, both are same. Right. Yeah. Sonar is the code review tool. Sonar, only one-time job. We can, normally architects configure only one time. Developers always create some metrics in the Sonar. Check the code review. Fine. Yeah. Now, developer develop the code in the local workspace, which is a local Git. Git local. We can say Git local. This flow is very, very important. That is why I'm repeating every time. Okay. So in, yeah, every project team, every organization, they're using the same flow. Currently, every organization in Agile methodology, every organization, every project team, they're using the same flow. That is why every time I'm repeating this. Okay. So every time I'm repeating this because of yeah, most of the project teams, 97% of the project teams, they're using the same flow, right? Yeah. So developer A and developer B, they're working on their local Git, right? So once the development is completed, what they will do? Push the code to remote repository, which is GitHub. The code should be pushed to a remote repository, right? Which is GitHub. Once the code is moved to GitHub, yeah, this code should be deployed onto respective target servers, right? This code should be deployed onto respective target servers. So if you want to deploy this code on respective target servers, we require one CI/CD tool, right? CI/CD tool, which is Jenkins. Jenkins is the CI/CD tool, right? Yeah. So in DevOps, we have multiple tools are there. All the tools are individual tools. One tool will not communicate other tool. Here, Jenkins is the mediator tool. It will integrate all the tools. It will communicate all the tools by installing plugins. You understand that, everyone? In DevOps, we have so many tools are there, right? Multiple tools. Different tools are there. All the tools are individual tools. One tool will not communicate other tool. So here Jenkins is the mediator tool. It will integrate all the tools, it will communicate all the tools by installing plugins, right? For example, if I want to pull the code from GitHub to Jenkins, first of all, integration is required here. I need to integrate. First, GitHub should be integrated with the Jenkins. How can we integrate? By installing plugins, right? What is plugin, anyone? Package. It is a software, right? So plugin is a software. So by installing plugin, we can integrate GitHub with the Jenkins, right? Once we integrate GitHub with the Jenkins, after that, we create jobs. We create jobs and we trigger the jobs. We run the jobs. Once we trigger the job, this code will be pulled from GitHub to Jenkins, right? Yeah. So this code, whatever the code we pull from GitHub to Jenkins, which is a raw code, unstructured code, unformatted code, right? So different way, different formats, different files, right? So this raw code, when you try to deploy into respect to target servers like JBoss or WebLogic or WebSphere, for example, this is a Tomcat app server or Tomcat server. Tomcat server, app server or Tomcat or WebLogic or WebSphere, whatever you want to use, you can use as per the project requirement. Okay. So this raw code will not understand by application server. Raw code is unformatted, unstructured, right? So in different formats. So, so this application servers, they will not understand the raw code. That is why we require one more tool. What is that tool? Right? So raw code, yeah. So raw code directly we cannot deploy application servers formatted. That is why we integrate one more tool here, which is Maven. Now, what is Maven? What Maven will do? Let's try to understand it. Maven is a build tool, or we can say project management tool, or we can say project management tool. Build tool or project management tool, right? Yeah. So developers, they work on the different technologies, like different coding part, different front end, back end, and database, right? So they develop the code, they modify the code, they test the code, they change the code, they pull the code, they push the code. Whatever the code they push to, finally, once development is completed, they push the code to remote server, which is the GitHub. Once the code is moved to GitHub, right? So this is unformatted, unstructured, right? Different files, different patterns that Jenkins pull, that code should be pulled by Jenkins, right? So once Jenkins pulled that code from GitHub to Jenkins, right, which is we can say raw code, right? That raw code should be converted to one structured way, one proper format, because this application servers they will not understand the raw code. That is why we required one, yeah, build tool, which is Maven, which is a, we can say project management tool, right? Yeah. So here developers they work on different yeah parts like front end, back end, database, right? Yeah. So here applications also different applications, desktop application development, and web application development, and also enterprise app development, right? So different applications. So they work on yeah Java development or .NET development or Python development, whatever, right? So desktop application development, for example, desktop application. So desktop application is in our local system. whatever applications we are using, right? For example, paintbrush is the desktop application. Right? Media player is the desktop application. Calculator is the desktop application. Notepad is the desktop application. So these, right? Yeah. So for example, here development team, they are working on Java, Java development, right? So here, desktop application, for example, the application developed in the local gate. The application pushed to the respective target servers, respect to uh, GitHub, right? So once the development is completed in local, the code should be pushed to remote repository, right? So which can be GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab. So everyone, look at this, everyone. Listen carefully, everyone. In real-time projects, so if you have GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, all these three are same functionality. Understanding right, everyone? GitHub, Bitbucket, Bitbucket, and GitLab. So, for example, you are good in GitHub. You are good in GitHub, right? But once you join, you learned GitHub. You are good in GitHub. But once you get into the project, once you join, functionality wise, same. All the functionality wise, all these three tools are same functionality, right? But terminology would be a little different. Terminology, right? It can be here. GitHub is a very popular one. GitHub is the popular one. Most of the project teams are using GitHub only, right? If it is, it can be GitLab, Bitbucket also. Yeah, so we can easily manage, right? Yeah. So here, once the code is pushed from GitHub, Git to local Git to GitHub, Jenkins pull the code, and in the last session we discussed, right? Once the code is moved to GitHub, what happened in the multi-branching pipeline? Automatically, Jenkins took the code right from the GitHub. Same way, once the code is moved to GitHub, Jenkins automatically trigger the job. It will pull the code from GitHub to Jenkins, which is a raw code, right? So the raw code will not understand by application servers. That is why we integrate Maven. So Maven, what it will do, if the application is desktop application, Maven generates jar file. What is jar? Java archive file, right? Maven generates jar file, Java archive file. If the application is web application, Maven generates war file, web archive file. If the application is enterprise application, it generates EAR file. So based on the application development, Maven generates the respective artifact. Based on the application development, Maven generates respective artifact. These are the artifacts. Artifact. So here first, yeah. Maven is a build tool. It is a project management tool. Maven generates artifacts. Maven generates artifact. What is artifact, anyone? This terminology is very important, everyone. Maven generates artifacts. Artifact is a archive file, archive file, binary file, zip file, tar file, jar file, war file, zip file, right? Binary file. Artifact is a binary file, right? So if anyone asks you about Maven, what is Maven, what Maven will do? Interviewer ask you. Maven is a build tool, which is a project management tool, which generates artifacts. We need to tell them. It generates artifacts. What is artifact? If anyone asks you, what you will tell? Artifact is a archive file, binary file, zip file, tar file, war file, jar file. So as per the project team requirement, Maven generated the respective artifact, right? Yeah. For example, Maven, it generates war file, web archive, right? Yeah. So here, desktop application for example, if the application is desktop application, so Maven generates jar. Web application, Maven generates var, right? Web application normally we deployed onto servers. Maven generates var file. Enterprise application, enterprise level, millions of requests per second they get. That is enterprise level application, right? Maven generates ER file, enterprise archive file. So, for example, Maven generates the war file. That war file will give back to Jenkins. Jenkins push that war file to respective target server, an app server, which is a Tomcat server. Once it is pushed to respective target server, here we deploy the war file. Understanding that, everyone? This is a live application. In live application, this will be happened. In live application, this will be happened in live, right? Without any downtime. So here, developer develop the code in their local Git. Once development is completed, they push the code to remote server, remote repository, which is GitHub. Once the code is moved to GitHub, yeah. So Jenkins pull the code from GitHub. So which is a raw code. Raw code will not understand by application servers. That is why Maven generates the war file. That war file will give back to Jenkins. Jenkins push that war file to respective target server. Here we deploy the war. So this is build and release process. We can say build and release process. Right. So every project team, every organization, they're using the build and release process. So interviewer asks you, what is your project build and release process? What is your build and release process which you are following? You need to explain this. We have development team. Developer develop the code in their local Git. Once development is completed, they push the code to remote server, which is GitHub. Once the code is moved to GitHub, so we have CI/CD tool, which is Jenkins. Yeah, so we integrate all the tools with the Jenkins by installing plugins. So we schedule the jobs, we trigger the jobs. Once we trigger the job, we pull the code will be pulled from GitHub to Jenkins. So which is a raw code. So that is why we integrated one more tool, which is Maven. Maven convert into artifact. So it can be jar or var or ER as per the positive requirement. Once it is converted to war file or jar file or ER file, that will give back to Jenkins. Jenkins push the war files to respective target servers. So in the respective target server, it can be Tomcat or JBoss or WebLogic. So we can deploy the war file on respective target servers. This flow we need to explain in the interview. Once you explain, okay, so the interviewer will understand, okay, this guy is having very good hands on. Okay, they will understand. That is why, so I'm repeating this again and again. This is very important flow, right? Every project team, they're using the flow. Clear, right, everyone? So this is a live application. This is the live application process. So non-live applications also available. Non-live applications also available, right? What are those non-live applications? Non-live applications also, we have non-live applications. So in live, normally, so in the live application, normally we can deploy the WAR file directly like this. For example, live application. What is live application? Which one? Which one? Cluster. A cluster is a group of servers. Okay. Yeah. For example, live application is no downtime. Yes. without downtime. Look at this, everyone. This is the live application, right? So normally live application, yeah, without any downtime, we can deploy the microservices. We can deploy the application. We can update the application. We can change the application. We can modify the application. So Flipkart, Amazon shopping site, Myntra, Meesho, Trends, these are all live applications, digital applications, right? So here, for example, let us go with this home and furnishing here. Okay. So here we have some blankets, for example. Okay. So these are the blankets. Okay. Different products are available, different pricing, different offers available. Okay. Festival offers, right? Normally, New Year offers, Ranjan offers, weekend offers, right? Different offers they give, right? Yeah. So for example, this product, any product, let us take this. Okay. This product is, they're giving 69% off, right? So sometimes they give 85%, 90% also, right? Some weekend offers or festival offers, they give extra percentage, right? Yeah. So who will modify this? Who will modify this extra discount or any other changes? Who will modify this? Local team, development team, right? So here in the Git, what they will do, developers, they modify the code. So normally, once the application is deployed, so maintenance team will maintain the application. That maintenance team, development team, what they will do, they modify the code. They modify the code. If they want to give 90% off in the local Git, they modify the code. Once the code is modified, they push the code to remote server. So immediately Jenkins take the code, convert into one artifact by using the Maven and deploy onto respective Flipkart server. Once the code is deployed, what will happen? This pricing will be modified. This pricing will be changed. Yeah, without downtime. In live, right? So developer modify the code, push the code to GitHub. Jenkins take the code, convert into artifact by using Maven and deploy onto respective Flipkart. Immediately the changes will be reflected. For example, this product is out of stock. For example, this product is out of stock. Okay, we'll modify that here. Then they will normally in the sometimes we will see that, right? The product is only one left, only two left, right? Product is out of stock. Normally developers modify that. Developer modify in their local Git. Once they modify, they push to GitHub. Jenkins automatically take that, right? Convert into respective artifact. That artifact will be deployed onto respective Flipkart server. Look at this, everyone. Only seven left. Only seven left, right? So they're saying something hard deal. Hard deal. Buy two items, save extra 30. Who will add this? Developers, the local Git, right? Developers add these comments, right? Yeah, fine. So in live application, this changes will be happened in live. The changes, whatever the changes are having here, the changes will be happened in live. So in case the product is not available, right, they will modify the code. So out of stock, right? So which is a live application, live deployments, live code, right? But sometimes we use non-live applications also. Live applications, live applications are Flipkart, Amazon shopping site, Trends, Myntra, Meesho. These are all live applications, right? Non-live applications. What are those non-live applications? Anyone having an idea? Non-live applications. Telugu newspaper, ఈనాడు, ఈనాడు. In the live, not only Telugu newspaper, any other paper. So in the live, the changes will be updated. In the live only. In the live, changes will be updated. Whatever changes we have, right? Yeah. Non-live applications. What are the non-live applications? For example, Naresh IT dot. Sorry. This application. Yes. So in this application, in live we can update the application, or else we can down. If we want to down, we can down, right? Non-live, for example, we want to add something content inside of this. Okay. In live we can add, we can update, or else non-live also we can update. How can we non-live? For example, whatever the war file generated by Maven, that war file we can store into the respective repository, which is, we can say this is Nexus or JFrog. This can be Nexus or JFrog. Nexus and JFrog both are same functionality, right? What is Nexus? What is JFrog? Anyone? Anyone having idea? Anyone having idea? Real-time base. What is Nexus? What is JFrog? Yes, the repository, storage service. Someone saying storage service. Someone saying repository, right? Nexus is a artifact repository tool. Artifact repository tool, not normal repository. Artifact repository tool. Nexus is the artifact repository tool. Whatever the artifact generated by Maven, those artifacts we can store in the Nexus or JFrog, right? So why we need to store these WAR files in Nexus or JFrog? So whatever the non-live applications we are using in the projects, okay, for that non-live applications, we can generate WAR file. Those WAR files we can store in the respective artifact repository tools. Whenever we have a release, by the time this WAR files we can push to the respective application servers and we can deploy. It is non-live. These applications are non-live, like Naresh IT, right? And also different non-live, simple, different websites are available, right? Non-live, those are non-live, right? For example, currently students are applying, students are applying MSET, right? MSET. This is an online application. This is an online application. So currently, yeah, students, inter second year students, right? Those who are already wrote the exams, they're applying MSET, right? Next month ending, I think, MSET exam, right? They're applying MSET exam. So here, this is a not live, non-live, right? Non-live application. So if they want to down the site, they can down for 30 minutes or 15 minutes or 1 hour, right? Normally, site will not be down, but midnight they will down. Midnight. So 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock. So normally IRCTC 11:30 p.m. to morning 5:30 a.m. Cannot book the tickets, right? What the timing? Downtime? Anyone having idea? IRCTC, Indian Railway Ticketing System website. 11:30. After 11:30, have you tried anyone? Exactly 11:30, they down the site will be there. Site will be, yeah, you can see the tickets, but you cannot book. 11:30, exact 11:30 p.m. to, I think, 2 hours, 3 hours, something downtime. That is why till 11:30, before 11:30, we used to book the tickets. 11:30 p.m. Right? 11:30 p.m. to maybe 2 hours, 3 hours. We cannot book the tickets. It will not allow you to book. That is the downtime. That is the downtime, right? Even though these websites also they construct, sometimes they update By the time they take some downtime, right? Yeah. Those are non-live applications, right? So non-live applications, normally this whatever WAR files or jar files or ER files are generating by Maven, those we can store in the Nexus repo. So here there is you may have a question here. You may have a question. So why should we go with another repository? We have already one repository. Already one repository is there, GitHub. Why we need to go with another repository, Nexus or JFrog? What is the importance of this Nexus and JFrog? What is the difference here? Anyone? Difference between GitHub and Nexus or JFrog. What is the difference here, anyone? Even though in place of Nexus or JFrog, we can use GitHub, right? Am I correct or not? Can we use GitHub in place of Nexus or JFrog? Anyone? Yeah. So we discussed about the difference between Git and SVN, right? We discussed about the difference between Git and SVN. By the time I explain one point, important point, right? So I'll show you that. I'll explain that right away. So we already having GitHub. Why should we go with the other repository? That is the interview question. Interviewer asking. So why we required Nexus or JFrog? We have GitHub already. You can store in the GitHub. Like that, they will logically they ask you questions. Interviewer. So we need to tell them like, so GitHub is an interview question, important point. Note everyone take down this. Okay. Git will not accept binary files. It will not accept binary files, and file size limit is 100 MB only. It will not accept binary files, and file size limit is 100 MB only, right? So that is why in GitHub, we cannot store this war file, jar file. Git will not accept war file, jar file, ER file. Git normally we push the raw code, right? That raw code will pull by Jenkins. Jenkins hand over to Maven. Maven convert into artifact, right? WAR file, jar file, ER file. That artifact will give back to Jenkins. Jenkins push that to artifact to respect to target servers. So here in non-live applications, what will happen? Whatever the WAR file generated by Maven, those we can store in the Nexus, right? Here the difference here is Git will not accept binary files, WAR file, jar file, ER, zip files. It will not allow. And file size limit is 100 MB. So before Git, we used to use which is SVN. SVN or subversion, right? Before Git, we used to use subversion. SVN will allow all file formats without any size limit. SVN will accept all file formats without any size limit. It can be binary files, image files, video files, audio files, spreadsheets, whatever files you want to upload into SVN, you can upload. SVN or subversion, both are same. SVN or subversion, both are same, right? So SVN will accept all file formats without any size limit. That is why SVN is completely failed. SVN is failed because of this feature. Because of this feature, SVN is completely failed. SVN will accept, it will allow all file formats without any size limit. Right? Yeah. 8 years back or 7 years back, we used to use SVN in our project. By the time People used to upload their personal data also into SVN, right? Developers, testers, DevOps engineers, they used to upload their personal data also into SVN, right? So like even they used to push movies also into SVN. So every alternate days we used to see the down. S1 is down. S1 is having some performance issue. S1 is not accessible. This type of issues. For example, you are keep on uploading. You are keep on storing the data into your laptop daily. 5 GB, 10 GB. You are storing. You are adding into your laptop. What will happen? Definitely, that will impact your laptop performance. Right. Same way, SVN also people used to they people used to upload their personal data also into SVN. So by the time we used to get so many tickets every day. That is why we decommission we decommission SVN. We integrated Git in our project. So last 7 years we haven't seen a single issue with the Git because Git is having some thumb rules. Git will not accept binary files and file size limit is 100 MB only. Is the thumb rule. Clear, right, everyone? Understanding, right, everyone? Any questions here, anyone? So here, Nexus is specially designed to store our artifacts. Nexus or JFrog. These are specially designed to store our artifacts. This is the artifact repository tool. So in the Nexus or JFrog, we can store only artifacts, no other data. This is specially designed to store our artifacts. So non-live applications normally Maven generates the WAR file. Those WAR files you can store in the Nexus or JFrog. So whenever we have release, by the time this WAR files can be pushed to the respective target servers, we can deploy onto respective target servers, this WAR files. What is release, anyone? Release. Developers always talk about release, right? This weekend we have release, next weekend we have release. What is release? Deployment. Deployment, right? Yeah. Same. So here, developer develop the code and they push the code to GitHub. As a DevOps engineer, what we will do by using Jenkins, we can figure the jobs and we can pull the code from GitHub to Jenkins, and that should be converted to WAR file that we can deploy into respective target servers. But where the testing will be happened? Where the testing will be happened? Yeah. In Git level, testing will be happened. So once Jenkins pull the code, testing will be happen, right? So after that, developers, what they will do, we have one more tool, which is Sonar Code Review Tool or Sonar Cube. Sonar Code Review Tool. Yeah, this is the Sonar Code Review Tool, right? So Sonar Code Review, Sonar also we can integrate with the Jenkins. How can we integrate? Install plugin, right? So here Maven required plugin, Tomcat required plugin, Sonar required plugin. If you want to integrate Ansible required plugin, if you want to integrate Kubernetes, the Jenkins required plugin. Every tool when you want to integrate with the Jenkins, so we required plugin, right? Yeah. So Sonar is completely developer tool. Sonar is completely developer tool. So we don't need to involve into Sonar, right? In the Sonar, what we will do, what they will do, developers, they create some metrics. Metrics. What is metric, anyone? Metric is their rules, right? If any duplicate lines are there, duplicate lines, errors, right? Duplicate lines, errors. If any, yeah, duplicate lines, more than 3 duplicate lines are there. If any more than 3 duplicate lines are there, Sonar, what it will do? It will review, will provide the report, right? If any errors are there, will review and will provide the report. For example, in the code, whatever the code developed by developers, in the code, duplicate lines are there, more than 3 lines, duplicate lines. What will happen? This product will show you 3 times, 4 times like that. This pricing will show you 3, 4 times, right? If any errors are there, what will happen? When you try to book this product, when you try to book this product, it will not allow you to book. When you try to buy this product, it will not allow you to buy because in the code, some errors are there, right? Yeah, every organization, every project team, they maintain some code standards, right? That is why Sonar is a very popular, very yeah core tool to review the code. Is we have so many tools are available in the market, but Sonar code review tool is the popular tool, right? So Sonar we can understand theoretically. So if possible, I explain JFrog. We can install configure JFrog. I'll show you later point of time. Yeah. So here Sonar also installation is very simple. We can install configure, but while integrating, we'll ask license. If possible, you can see that. Okay. Sonar also we can see installation configurations. I'll show you if possible. Right. Yeah. And now we discussed about Maven, Nexus, Sonar. Maven installation we already discussed, right? Maven installation. How can we install Maven? How can we install Maven? Go to Jenkins server. So instead of the Jenkins only, you can install Maven. You don't require any additional server for Maven. Okay. Yeah. So go to Jenkins. Real-time projects also. So we always, most of the projects are using Maven instead of the Jenkins. If you want to take extra server, can take, but that is not required. So 90% of the project teams, they are using Maven instead of the Jenkins. So go and start our Jenkins. Tomorrow we'll discuss about project, CI/CD project. By the time we'll go with the Tomcat server. We can integrate Tomcat and we can deploy the application, whatever the application developer developers, that we can deploy directly onto respect to targets, which is a Tomcat. So tomorrow in live, we can perform this all integrations. Sonar Nexus not required here. Okay, so without Sonar Nexus, so in live, how can we deploy the WAR file? That I'll show you in live. That is project, which is very important project, very core project. Sonar code is implemented with Wi-Fi or with artifact or raw. raw. It will test the raw. So before converting into jar file or war file, it will test. No, down here you can add this path so that sleeping. Now it is fine. Yeah. So if you want to install Maven inside of the Jenkins, go to Manage Jenkins. Next step, what is the next step? Click on where we can install Maven. Online. Go to Manage Jenkins. GitHub is not Artifactory repository tool. GitHub is a remote repository. We can store the yeah. So developer, whatever the code developer by developers, so that code we can developer they can push to the remote server, which is GitHub. Where as Nexus or JFrog holds artifacts. Yeah, Nexus is a server, repository server. So once the code is converted to respective artifact, that can be pushed to the JFrog or Nexus. Fine. So how to install configure Maven instead of the Jenkins, right? Go to Manage Jenkins, click on Tools, go down here, scroll down. Look at this, everyone. Maven installations. Already we installed Maven. Look at this. These are the versions 3.9.9 and 3.9.5, 3.8.5, like this, different versions we installed. So I want to install one more version, Maven version instead of the Jenkins, for which click on Add Maven, select the version here, whatever version you require, you can select here 3.6.0, for example. I can select here. So give the name Maven 3.6.0 and check this install automatically. Check this, click on apply, save. Once you apply, save, what will happen? Maven will be installed, right? I'll show you. Wait for 1 minute. So I'll show you Maven version. Once we install the Maven, we can go and check the Maven is installed or not. Now go to dashboard, go to job configure, go and check the Maven version here. Look at this 3.6.0 install, right? Yeah, like this Maven we can install instead of the Jenkins only, right? Now let's try to understand Maven goals. We have how many goals are available in the Maven? Anyone? Maven goals. We have 7 goals available. 7 goals. What are those? First one is validate. Second one is compile. Third one is test. Fourth one is install. Fifth one is deploy. Sixth one is clean also there. Clean last goal. What goal is there? Validate, compile, test, install, not verify. Clean install. Okay, clean also there, right? Clean. What are the three goals we are using? Clean install, package, right? Package. Yes. These are the seven important goals. Enter ask you how many goals are available? How many goals? Maven goals, right? What is the functionality of these seven goals? Let's try to understand. Validate. What is validate? What is validate? The code should be validated, right? So before converting to artifact, Maven, what it will do? It will validate the code. So normally developer develop the code in their local Git. Once they push the code to GitHub, Jenkins take the code, Jenkins pull the code. So after that, it will hand over to Maven, right? Once Maven, yeah, before converting to WAR file or jar file, Maven validate the code. Maven validate the code. So if any duplicate lines, errors, issues, any fixes, Maven validate. After that, it will convert into, it will validate. After that, it will compile. So what is compile? What is compilation? Anyone? Once validation is completed, next compile. What is compile? Normally, every line developers what they will do? Line by line check, right? Compilation, right? So line by line they check, right? Compile. So after that, by using unit test cases, they test the code, right? So after that, install. It is not installation configuration. Fully store in the local. So deploy. What is deploy? Deploy. Whatever the WAR file generated by Maven, that will be deployed onto respective target servers. Clean. What is clean? So any previous build errors are there, those will be cleaned up, right? Clean. Package. What is package? Convert into WAR file, jar file, or ER. Package is nothing but convert to respect to artifact. Convert into package, one package, right? So these are the seven goals, important goals, which are Maven goals, which are Maven goals, right? Yeah. Now, Maven is a build tool or project management tool. We discussed, right? Yeah. So Maven convert into artifact, right? Yeah. So in the Maven, there is a file, important file I'll show you. In the Maven code, there is a important file which is pom.xml. Pom.xml. What is pom.xml? I explain. Okay. For example, go to GitHub, open the code which is a game of life, for example. This is a real game code. This is a real game code developed by Vocalio is from UK. Developed by Vocalio is from UK. He developed this code, real game code. So this is the real game code. Okay. So here in the code, now look at this here. There is a file. What is this file? Pom.xml. So in this file, all paths, plugins, versions available, right? Open this, look at this. Versions, plugins, paths, all the paths, plugins, versions available. Developers always check this pom.xml file. You don't need to worry about this file. You don't need to check with this file. Developers always check this file, right? So as a DevOps engineer, no need to check this. But developers always check the versions, plugins, right? Yeah. So without which normally you cannot deploy the code, right? So here In the main repo, there is a format XML, right? This is a format XML. If you go to core folder, here also there is a format XML. The core folder also there is a format XML, right? So format XML is the file where we check all the paths, versions, and also plugins. Clear it, everyone? Any questions here, anyone? This is the real game code. This is the real game code developed by Vocal.io, is from UK. Yeah. Anyone having any questions, you can ask me. You can raise your hand. If you have any questions, I give you unmute. Right. Yeah. So Maven generates folder structure also. Along with the artifact, Maven generates the folder structure also. Maven generates folder structure also. What is folder structure, anyone? Folder under folder, proper structure way, right? So if you look at this here, look at this, everyone. This is a game of life, real code, right? Look at this. Different folders, different files. Different folders, different files. Folder under folder. Look, yeah, click on this core folder. Inside of this core folder, we have conf folder, build folder, config, src, different folders are available. Click on src source folder. Under this main folder, test folder, click on main folder, meta folder is there, right? Yeah, so folder under folder. So along with artifacts, Maven generates folder structure also, right? Yeah, so here, these are the folder structure. If you go back to, we used one repository, right? What is that repository? We used one repository, right? What is that repository? Simple web app. Click on this. So this is also, look at this. What is this? Format XML. It is mandatory, right? And click on web app. Inside of the web app, we have src, source folder. What is this? Format XML, right? So instead of this source folder, web.inf, index.jsp, right? So like this folder under folder, folder under folder. So structured way, right? Clear, right, everyone? So interviewer asks you, can you explain about build and release process? Can you explain the build and release process? How can we explain? So interviewer normally once we start attending interview, once we went to the interview, first question, what is the first question? In the interview, what is the first question? Very first question. What is DevOps? What is DevOps? And they will ask you, but before that, very first question. Yes. Anyone real time, guys? What is the first question? For example, you got a interview call, HR scheduled the interview, right? You are attending, you went to the